As I've said many times in the past, in my opinion, the vast majority of what Netflix puts out is mass produced garbage. I have yet to see a good Netflix original movie. And as far as their TV shows go, it feels to me like if you or I had an idea for one, we could just go to Netflix and they'd give us a budget to make like 5 seasons of it. Netflix, I think their goal is just to spam as many TV shows out as possible. So by the time all the remaining licenses expire, they'll have this massive block of content they'll be able to advertise. Now, is any of it worth watching is another question entirely. And it's kind of getting worse over time for any number of reasons. That being said, is there anything good on Netflix? Is there any kind of shining lights? Is there any TV shows that actually manage to turn out pretty well, despite the fact that they're made by this mass produced garbage company? And in my opinion, there are a couple, and I generally watch them when they come out. Black Mirror is, of course, a good show. It varies a bit in quality from episode to episode, but that's kind of to be expected of any type of anthology show. You have the OA, which was pretty good. I have to finish season 2 because season 2 got really weird. And this is the OA we're talking about, so season 2 got really, really weird. Season 1 I really enjoyed, though. Then we have the 3%, which I also really like, that I review of when I do a review of whenever the new season comes out. And then we have probably my favorite Netflix show, and it's probably good because the first season was not made by Netflix; it was bought by Netflix. You. Now there isn't really any overtitle or subtitle; it's just entitled "You." So, just FYI, there's going to be major spoilers here for the first season and the second season. So, You is kind of like No Chance, my novel, which is available on Amazon, meets Breaking Bad. I guess you could say what it is. It does definitely seem like something I would write, as it's very much an exploration of the postmodern male in being a male in a postmodern world and kind of the struggles and tragedies that come along with that, as well as the healthy and unhealthy ways that people react to their situation. So we have the premise of You is we have the main character Joe Goldberg, who's very similar to either Jeremy Evans from, like I said, No Chance, but also to Walter White from Breaking Bad. And he comes from a very abusive, broken household, and he has a tendency to idealize women. He tends to fall in love at first sight with a woman, and then he idealizes her. He builds her up to be this like perfect image in his mind, and he stalks her and he stalks them, and then he tries to make himself out to be whatever it will take to win their heart and to become the perfect boyfriend from them. And the thing that I think really kind of makes it like my writing is that Joe is a very sympathetic character. As bad as he is, pretty much everybody he comes up against throughout the series is a worse person than him. It's very similar to Breaking Bad in that every like individual decision that Joe makes is justifiable, either situationally or generally speaking. Because like if you look at like the people that he winds up killing, they're like abusive parents, like drug dealers, like sociopaths, pedophiles. With a couple of exceptions, the vast majority of the people Joe takes down tend to deserve it. And most of his decisions, like I said, if you look at them in isolation, are what you would do or could even be argued to be the morally correct decision in that particular circumstance. And that's kind of the whole thing with Walter White and Heisenberg. Is Heisenberg was based on the name Heisenberg was based on the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, where you can't know the exact position of a particle. The idea being that you don't know the exact moment where Walter White becomes a bad person, and Joe's very similar to that. You don't know the exact moment that Joe kind of goes over the line and becomes a flat out villain. And this was something we saw a lot of in season 1. And I was just kind of wondering how it was going to pan out in season 2, because season 1 got wrapped up pretty well. Joe wound up killing off the target of his affection, and framing somebody else for doing it, as well as the other people that he killed off. He was able to either frame other people or just otherwise get away with everything. And he's heading to LA to make a new start. So heading into this season, I was like, how are they going to top the previous season? Like, is Joe going to be a better person? Is he going to be a worse person? What's going to be his angle? Is there going to be another new girl that he's obsessing over? Like what's even going to happen? Are they going to maintain the same standard of quality? Are they somehow going to live up to it? Oh, ye of little faith. This season far exceeded my expectations. They did a really good job on season 1. They did a better job on season 2. The side characters are a lot better in this season. You have the object of his affection, Love, who's kind of, I think, more interesting in some ways than Gwen. We have 40, who's like the supreme gamma male, who I really liked. He was a really good character. We have his landlady, Delilah. We have Ella, I think it's Ella, whatever her name is. We have Henderson, who's like the sleazy, washed up actor. You just have a lot of really good, solid characters that interact really well with each other. You also, I think, have a much better developed environment because the first one took place in New York, and so it was kind of like soulless and bland. This one takes place in LA, so it has like all the LA related stuff. It's this show is pretty, I don't know if you want to say woke or based, because it really heavily makes fun of like Swipple culture. So like people are constantly talking about like the patriarchy and like trans rights and like they say mansplaining and like just hippie shit. Like they have like shamans and like crystals and like health food that like makes you super ill, like just all kinds of stuff like that. They try really hard to make it seem like LA is hell on earth, which it probably is in a lot of ways. But and Joe just kind of being there is a complete fish out of water, and he just kind of hates it there. But once again, this kind of makes him a bit more sympathetic because he's in this environment that's just really obnoxious, and the people he's around are just really like they're just like the most annoying, like upper middle class swipples you've ever seen in your life. So that's good. Also, just the most of the people he deals with in this season have a lot more agency than in season 1. Like Delilah, his landlady, is a lot more. She's like an investigative journalist. His love interest has a lot more agency. 40, despite being a drug addict beta male, has a lot more agency than some of the previous people. And you do get a really well, you do see Joe get outsmarted periodically. You do see things closing in on him. But once again, you also have the issue where, at least in this season, he's trying to be a better person. He's kind of acknowledged that a lot of the stuff he did in the past was kind of fucked up. And he wants to try to kind of redeem himself, at least to as much as he can. However, the problem in doing that is things just kind of seem to keep getting worse and worse around him, and he's having to deal with lots of side shit. Like, for instance, the younger sister of his landlady, who he kind of develops a brotherly love for, is hanging out with Henderson, who's this actor who we're pretty sure is a pedophile who drugs girls and rapes them in a sex dungeon. So like a lot of Joe's problems is him trying to get like to get like dirt on Henderson to expose him, and eventually he has to kill him as he sees it as being the only way to keep her safe. But then that leads to like a chain of other stuff. And if you look at most of the people who he kills or screws over, most of them are like criminals. Like one of the guys sold like drugs on the dark net for like the Russian mafia or something. That sort of stuff. So it is, I think, just very well written. I wasn't bored at all. It was very concise. It didn't really feel like there's any wasted space or wasted characters. Overall, I'd say You is one of the best Netflix shows there is, and I'd always recommend just getting a free trial solely to watch it. So that's my recommendation. After you've done this review, go watch You season 1 and season 2. They're both excellent. This is Argent.